Was Benedict Arnold America's biggest traitor? Some names are written in history with honor. Washington, Jefferson, Franklin. These were the architects of America's Revolution. But one name is whispered with scorn: Benedict Arnold. A name that has become the very definition of treason. A man whose actions nearly cost America its freedom. A traitor so infamous that centuries later, his name is still an insult. But was Benedict Arnold truly the villain we remember? Or was he a brilliant soldier who felt abandoned by his country? A patriot whose loyalty was shattered by betrayal, injustice, and greed? Tonight, we dive deep into the untold story of Benedict Arnold, his rise, his heroic victories, his frustrations, and his ultimate betrayal. This is the story of a man whose legacy is still debated to this day. Benedict Arnold was born on January 14, 1741, in Norwich, Connecticut. His family was once wealthy, but his father's financial ruin and descent into alcoholism left young Benedict determined to reclaim the family's honor. Arnold grew up fiercely independent and ambitious. He took an apprenticeship as a pharmacist, but the quiet life of selling medicine never suited him. He longed for action, adventure, and above all, glory. In his teenage years, Arnold joined the colonial militia during the French and Indian War. Though the war ended before he saw major combat, it left a lasting impression. War was where true men made their mark in history. As tensions between Britain and the American colonies grew, Arnold became increasingly radicalized. He despised British rule and their heavy taxes on trade. When the first shots of the American Revolution rang out at Lexington and Concord in 1775, Arnold did not hesitate. He volunteered to take part in the war, bringing with him not only his own skills but also his financial resources. He was one of the few patriots who actually paid out of his own pocket to support the cause. Arnold's first taste of command came when he led a daring expedition to seize Fort Ticonderoga. The mission was a success, securing valuable cannons for the Revolution. But despite his role, credit was given to Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys. Arnold was furious. He had risked everything for the Revolution, yet he was ignored. Arnold's greatest moment came in 1777 at the Battle of Saratoga. British forces, led by General Burgoyne, attempted to cut the colonies in half by marching down from Canada. Arnold, despite being removed from direct command by his superior, saw an opportunity. Defying orders, Arnold led a reckless charge into the British lines, inspiring his men to push forward. The battle turned in favor of the Americans, and Burgoyne was forced to surrender. The victory at Saratoga was the turning point of the war, convincing France to join America's fight. But instead of being hailed as the hero of Saratoga, Arnold was overlooked. The credit for the victory went to General Horatio Gates. Worse still, Arnold was severely wounded in the leg and left unable to walk properly again. His body had paid the price for America's freedom. And yet, he received no reward. Arnold's frustration with the Revolution grew deeper when he was given command of Philadelphia in 1778. The city, recently abandoned by the British, was in chaos. Arnold's attempts to restore order earned him powerful enemies. Arnold married Peggy Shippen, a beautiful and wealthy socialite from a loyalist family. Through her, he entered a world of luxury and high society. He lived lavishly, spending beyond his means. Soon, he was accused of corruption and misconduct. Congress investigated Arnold's actions and found him guilty of minor charges, publicly humiliating him. After everything he had sacrificed, Arnold felt betrayed by his own country. His bitterness reached its breaking point. In 1780, Arnold made his fateful decision. He reached out to British General Henry Clinton and offered to turn over West Point, a key American fortress along the Hudson River. If West Point fell, the British could cut off New England from the rest of the colonies. The price of his betrayal? 20,000 pounds in gold. Arnold passed along sensitive military documents to André, detailing West Point's weaknesses. The plan was in motion. Soon, the British would seize the fortress and Arnold would defect to the enemy. But fate intervened. On September 23, 1780, Major John André was captured by American forces. Inside his boot were the very documents Arnold had given him. The plot was exposed. Arnold barely escaped, fleeing to British lines. The man who had once been an American hero was now a traitor. As Arnold sat in his quarters at West Point, he received an urgent message. Major John Andre had been captured. The documents proving his betrayal were now in American hands. Arnold knew there was no time to waste. Leaving behind his wife, Peggy, Arnold fled on horseback, galloping towards the Hudson River. He boarded a small boat and rowed frantically toward the British warship, HMS Vulture. The moment he stepped onto the deck, he was no longer an American general. He was a fugitive, a traitor. The British welcomed him cautiously, granting him a commission as a brigadier general. But while Arnold had crossed over to the enemy, his past heroism would not be forgotten by his former comrades, nor would his betrayal be forgiven. When George Washington read the details of Arnold's treason, he was overcome with shock and fury. The betrayal was personal. Arnold had once been one of his most trusted generals. Across the colonies, Arnold's name became a curse. Effigies of him were burned in the streets. Soldiers swore they would hang him if they ever captured him. Even his old friends turned against him. The name Benedict Arnold became synonymous with treachery, but while Arnold had escaped, his co-conspirator had not. Major John Andre, the British officer carrying Arnold's plans, was sentenced to death. Despite Andre's honorable demeanor and desperate pleas, Washington refused to spare him. On October 2, 1780, Andre was hanged as a spy. His death was a warning to all: betray the revolution, and you will pay the ultimate price. Arnold had switched sides, but his troubles were far from over. The British had hoped his defection would inspire other American officers to follow, but it did not. In truth, Arnold was not seen as a hero. He was seen as an opportunist, a man who had sold out for money. Nevertheless, the British gave him command of forces in Virginia and ordered him to conduct raids on American territory. Arnold led brutal attacks, burning Richmond to the ground. But despite his military successes, his British superiors never fully trusted him. One British officer was overheard saying, "We never trust a traitor, even when he is our own." Arnold was not the war hero he had imagined himself to be. He was not respected by the British, and he was despised by the Americans. He had no home, no country. In 1781, the war reached its climax. George Washington, with the help of the French, trapped British General Cornwallis at Yorktown. After weeks of siege, Cornwallis surrendered. The American Revolution was won. Arnold, hearing the news, realized that his gamble had failed. He had joined the British believing they would win the war, but now he was stuck on the losing side. With no place left for him in America, Arnold and his family fled to England. He had turned his back on the revolution, but in the end it was the revolution that had triumphed. Arnold had lost everything. Arnold had expected to be welcomed in Britain as a war hero, but instead he was met with indifference. The British had no use for him now that the war was over. He attempted to rebuild his life, engaging in business ventures in Canada and the West Indies, but he never found success. He tried to regain his honor by offering to serve in the British Army again, but even the British did not want a man known for betrayal. As he aged, Arnold suffered from painful wounds, reminders of his years of battle. He spent his final years in London largely forgotten. His name, once spoken with admiration, was now only associated with treason. On June 14, 1801, Benedict Arnold died at the age of 60. According to legend, on his deathbed he whispered, "Let me die in my old American uniform, the uniform of a country I once loved." Was Benedict Arnold truly the greatest traitor in American history? Or was he a man pushed too far by his own country? He was once a hero of the Revolution, one of Washington's finest generals. He had fought, bled, and nearly died for the cause of American liberty. But in the end, his desire for recognition, money, and power led him down a dark path. Today, his name is remembered only in disgrace. But perhaps in another time, another war, Benedict Arnold's name might have been remembered differently. What do you think? Was Benedict Arnold a villain or a tragic figure? Let us know in the comments. One thing is certain: whether hero or traitor, Benedict Arnold's story is a reminder that in war, as in life, The line between loyalty and betrayal is often thinner than we think. Our channel is just starting out, and every new subscriber is a building block in its foundation. Please subscribe and hit the bell to motivate us to create more videos.